Hi, my name's Ben. I work for the Game House, and today we're looking at the tight end rankings for Madden 24, which just came out today on Thursday. I'm hoping to have this video out Friday when the quarterbacks, kickers, and punters and linebackers will be out. Obviously, number one, we have Travis Kelce, who is a member of the 99 Club. Everyone really knows about Travis Kelce. Don't really have to go too far into it here, but I just want to point out his run block power and his pass block power are absolutely abysmal. He is not a great blocking tight end by any means, and that could be a problem for the Chiefs going forward because their offensive line did get worse. If you remember, Jimmy Graham a couple years ago got in trouble for being franchise tagged as a tight end but having wide receiver. In his Twitter bio, Travis Kelce is a wide receiver that happens to be listed as tight end, so that's important if you're going to play with him. Maybe put in the heavy package if you're going to run. Next we have George Kittle, who is pretty injured most of the time, but he's still a 96. 88 speed, 82 strength, I think that's a bit low, 85 agility, which honestly might be a bit high, but he is one of the smartest tight ends in the league, very aware, great at the point of catch. The problem is he needs to stay healthy. Shouldn't be a problem in a video game, though. Third, we have Mark Andrews at a 95. I think that's a bit low, considering his impressive stats. We're going to look at those right here. Played in only 15 games last year. He almost had 1,000 yards for the second time. 5 touchdowns, which is a bit of a downturn, and then 56.5 yards per game. Now, what's interesting about Mark Andrews is when Lamar Jackson is injured, those backup quarterbacks love to go to him because he's such a great security blanket over the middle of the field. He had 1,361 yards on 107 catches in 2021. Obviously, that gave him the first-team All-Pro tight end nod. He made 2 consecutive Pro Bowls last year and this year, and he had 9 touchdowns last year. I think a lot of Madden ratings are sort of predicated on your previous resume. Look at people like Aaron Donald for that kind of stuff. Andrew should be higher. When you look at his sort of consistency, did fall off last year. They had some bad quarterback play near the end. TJ Hockenson went to a new team. He went to the Vikings. Wasn't really utilized as well as he could have been by Kirk Cousins, but it's his first full year in that Vikings offense. We'll see if he takes off. Dallas Goedert is an interesting case at 89. He was a member of that Philadelphia Eagles team that went to the Super Bowl. He was the tight end 1. Only played in 12 games. He still had 55 catches on 69 targets for 702 yards and 3 touchdowns. Now that's significant because they are such a run-heavy offense. They like to run the ball. Jalen Hurts likes to run the ball. They had an insane offensive line and a really great tandem of running backs. So him getting into that 700-yard mark is actually pretty significant. And then obviously when they're down near the goal line, they're going to want to rush it in. So that touchdown number doesn't really mean much. Kyle Pitts, also an interesting case. If you remember, he was taken near the top of the first round by a Falcons team that needed a lot of help, but they went ahead and took this sort of unicorn tight end out of Florida. We're going to look at his past 2 years. Only played in 10 games last year, 28 catches, only 356 yards for 2 touchdowns. That does not inspire a lot of confidence, although the tight ends in the NFL tend to be pretty top-heavy. We know who the best are, and then there's everybody else. So we're going to look at last year's stats. He did have over 1,000 yards, even though a lot of people deemed his rookie season sort of a failure. He did only have 1 touchdown last year, but those 68 catches for 1,000 yards really tell a story, especially when you look at the fact that he only played in 10 games last season. So this is a bit of a generous rating, but we're going to have to see what he does this year. Hopefully he stays healthy. Darren Waller, we know, is pretty injury-prone, but he's one of the best comeback stories in the league. 86 seems a bit low for me, but we'll see how he looks on this new offense with Brian Daboll calling the plays for him. Pat Freiermuth, 85, just a bit of a safety blanket at tight end. We'll see how Kenny Pickett utilizes him. David Njoku, I think, is one of the most underrated tight ends in the entire league for the Browns. He only played in 14 games last year, so he missed 3, but he still had 58 catches on, look at this number, 80 targets. That means he was open a lot. They wanted to give it to him a lot. He still had 628 yards, 4 touchdowns, matches a career high. Hasn't been able to break 4, but it is what it is. Tight end usage may drift off, especially in that edge of the red zone kind of offense. And he had almost 8 yards per target, which is great for a tight end. That's exactly what you want out of him. You want those tough yards. You want those yards over the middle. I think David Njoku is really underrated, and honestly, honestly, a great fantasy pickup, especially if you have to stream. If David Njoku is on the waiver wire, go ahead and grab him if you have to stream, or maybe just to keep him on your bench. And then rounding out the top 10 is Ingram at an 84. He just got a brand new contract with the Jacksonville Jaguars, so let's see if he deserves that 84 ranking. Played in all 17 games, only started 14. They targeted him almost 100 times last year, did Trevor Lawrence, for 73 catches, over 750 yards, and 4 touchdowns, just like Njoku. I think Ingram has had a huge bounce back since leaving the Giants, had a bit of a drop problem with the Giants. That has been sort of ironed out. Let's see if he continues it this year with that brand new contract under his belt, and let's see if the Jaguars can make it past the first round of the playoffs. I think that would be huge. So those are the top 10 tight ends in Madden 24 at launch. Let me know who you think was too high, too low, who was snubbed out. I love that kind of thing, so I really appreciate you watching. Thank you.